Girl with a Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeer, often called the Mona Lisa of the North, is one of the most enigmatic and captivating portraits in Western art. What makes this simple image of a girl so unforgettable? In this video we will cover the history of the painting, in-depth analysis of the details of the painting, and the brilliance behind this timeless masterpiece. A brief history of the painting. Johannes Vermeer painted Girl with a Pearl Earring around 1665 in the Dutch city of Delft, during what is known as the Dutch Golden Age, a period of immense wealth, global trade, and flourishing art. Vermeer was not widely known in his own time, and he worked slowly, producing only about 35 known paintings in his entire career. Alongside Rembrandt and Frans Hals, he is regarded as one of the foremost figures of the Dutch Baroque period. This artwork is not a traditional portrait. It is a tronie, a type of painting popular at the time, meant not to capture a specific person, but rather a character or a type. These were studies in facial expression, exotic dress, or interesting lighting. And yet, this tronie has become far more famous than most portraits of real people. For much of its history, Girl with a Pearl Earring was virtually unknown. In 1881, it was sold at a Dutch auction for just 2 guilders, roughly the price of a loaf of bread, because the artist was not recognized. The buyer, art collector Arnoldus Andries de Tombe, suspected its value and later donated it to the Mauritshuis Museum in The Hague. It wasn't until the 20th century that the painting was firmly attributed to Johannes Vermeer, launching it into global fame as one of his greatest masterpieces. Since then, it has become a symbol of serene beauty, subtle storytelling, and painterly mystery. Though it captures an intimate moment, the painting itself is surprisingly modest in scale. It measures 44.5 centimeters tall by 39 centimeters wide. That's about 17.5 by 15.3 inches. Yet within this small frame, Vermeer creates a world of emotional depth and visual brilliance. And now the analysis of the portrait. There is only one figure in this painting, but the complexity of her presence makes the canvas feel full of quiet life. Her eyes are large and almond-shaped, framed by delicate brows and casting a steady, almost curious gaze. They don't command or confront, instead, they invite. There's vulnerability in her expression, but also a sense of timeless poise. She's shown from the shoulders up, her body turns slightly away from us, but her head is twisted gently back over her left shoulder, locking eyes with the viewer. The moment feels suspended, as though we've just interrupted her. It's not a formal pose. It's a glance, spontaneous, soft, and arrestingly human. Her parted lips are one of the most haunting aspects. They seem as if they're about to speak, just a breath away from forming a word. That tiny sliver of pink between her lips adds an emotional charge to the silence. The light falls tenderly on her face, highlighting the smooth planes of her forehead, cheek, and chin. There's an incredible softness to her skin, rendered with subtle gradations of color and light. You can almost feel the gentle curve of her cheek with your eyes. She wears a rich, golden yellow garment with just a hint of a white collar peeking out, painted with broad, confident brushstrokes that contrast with the finer detail of her face. Draped over her head is an impossibly vibrant blue turban, its color, deep and luminous. The fabric coils at the crown of her head and cascades down her back with a fluid, silk-like weight. The style is exotic, intentionally anachronistic and imagined. This choice lifts the girl out of any specific time or place, making her a symbol rather than a portrait of a real individual. And then, of course, there's the pearl. Hanging from her left earlobe, it catches the light in just the right way to glow, not as a highly detailed object, but more as a suggestion, a trick of the eye. Vermeer doesn't paint the pearl in full detail. It's rendered with just a few well-placed dabs of white and gray, but it's enough. Our minds complete it. It's oversized, almost theatrical, and yet it doesn't feel unnatural. It adds to her mystique, acting as a focal point, a symbol of beauty, wealth, or perhaps illusion. There is no action in the scene, no task, no background, no story. But in her stillness, there's an uncanny liveliness. She isn't performing or posing, she is simply there, caught in a moment so fleeting that it feels intimate. Her expression is open to interpretation. Some see shyness, others curiosity, and still others see something melancholic. That ambiguity is part of what makes this painting endure. She seems to exist just outside the reach of time, forever turning to meet our gaze. Composition, symbolism, and technique. Now look at the background, it's completely dark. There's no context, no furniture, no landscape. Just darkness. This void serves to isolate the figure, focusing our full attention on her face and that pearl. The absence of setting also contributes to her timelessness. She could belong to any era. Her moment exists only in light, color, and gaze. The composition is elegantly simple. Her face forms a soft oval that gently contrasts with the angular folds of her turban and the curve of the pearl. Her shoulder line tilts down to the left while her face turns back toward the right. This creates a dynamic flow across the image, one that gently guides our eye from her clothing, to her profile, to her luminous earring, and finally to her expressive eyes. Vermeer was a master of light. The way light wraps around her face and bounces off her lips and the pearl is astonishing. He used thin, transparent glazes layered over opaque tones to achieve a depth and radiance that feels almost photographic. Yet there is nothing mechanical about it. It's soft, deliberate, and painterly. The pearl itself may not be real. In fact, its exaggerated size and abstract shape suggest it's more symbolic than literal. Pearls in 17th century art often symbolized purity and feminine beauty, but they could also represent the mystery of transformation, a simple oyster shell producing something rare and luminous. That could be Vermeer's ultimate message. Even in silence, even in simplicity, beauty can shine. Vermeer is also known for his use of optical effects, perhaps even using a camera obscura to study how light falls across forms. But the emotion, the imagination, the storytelling, are all his own. Conclusion. Girl with a Pearl Earring is more than a painting. It's a whisper in oil, a moment captured not with grand drama, but with perfect stillness. In her silence, she speaks volumes. And every time we look, she seems just on the edge of saying something more. Thank you for joining us in this analysis of Vermeer's most iconic work. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more expert art analysis brought to life, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow the Great Art Guide, where timeless masterpieces are always within reach.